Good morning. It is the 1st of May today, and I am very excited to start my first Me Made May. This is going to be my first time participating in Me Made May. I have thought about doing the challenge or monthly celebration before. However, I never really had enough clothes to truthfully attend, and also most of my garments are sweaters. So usually by the time May comes around, I can't really wear most of the things I've made. But in the last couple months, I've been really working on some more summery and more spring type knits. So I do feel like I'm in a good place to maybe not have homemade clothes every single day, but at least whenever we go for a fun outing or when I go to work, to have something handmade with me. I also wanted to cast on a new project for this month to hopefully finish by the time the 31st rolls around. I don't have anything planned that weekend, but I'm sure we can take it on a fun spin. The project I am thinking of is going to be loosely based on the Checks and Balances sweater by Bo Binnart. I do really love this checkerboard or gingham style design. However, I don't really think the fit of the garment would suit me, and the construction isn't really my type of style. So I'm using the instructions for the garment itself from the Rosalinda tee by Stine Hoelgaard Johansen in collaboration with the Yarbo yarn website, for which I'll be using pretty much the entire sweater and overlay the checkerboard pattern on top. I have made some slight alterations to the pattern because I'm knitting off gauge, so I'll be knitting a size L to hopefully fit me in between a size S and M, and I've added a few stitches just to make the color work make a little bit more sense. For the yarn, I am using the Cotton Friends Silk by Hobie. I have one in yellow, kind of a butter yellow, and then as a contrast color, the purple. Good morning. It's been a few days since I last filmed, and I wanted to show you a little bit of a progress update. This weekend, it was not such great weather, so I had a lot of knitting time. We did go to the cinema one of those days, and I wore my Prairie Cove top during that day. However, I did forget to film in the cinema itself, so I will insert a little bit of a clip from the way back when I remembered that I was going to film. But inside the cinema, I wasn't really able to do anything. It was a really good movie. It was a black and white screening of the movie Philadelphia Story, which was the fourth movie in the Goofball Classic series that they did over the last couple months. It wasn't my favorite of the four, but it was definitely a good watch and a good ending to the show. So yeah, my project. I am making a ton. Why do I always drop my stitches? No. So the rest of the weekend I have spent pretty much only knitting, and I am absolutely obsessed with this project. This is how much I got done in 3 days. And I'm not a super fast knitter and definitely not fast when I do color work, but something about this project is just going so fast. Maybe because it's on a 4mm needle, or just the repeat row makes it super addicting to want to finish like one stripe. One of these is 7 rows, so it is kind of like a nice cutoff point to knit up to the color change and then do 1 row of the new pattern before starting the new one. I did not do that with the last one, I can tell, but I started it. This is the start of my row. Yeah, I am absolutely loving this. I was a little bit nervous beforehand because I bought the yarn quite a while ago, and then I looked at it again and I wasn't really sure about the color combination. But now that I'm looking at it knit up, I am super, super happy with it. I did buy a little bit more of the yellow, which I recently gave to someone else during a yarn swap. And I do think that that's a good idea, because just the yellow by itself, I think I'm simply too pale to wear this. However, the two colors together is going great. I have a little bit more of the yellow than I do of the purple, because I was planning to do the ribbing in the yellow, but looking at the yarn again, I decided to switch it to purple. I should be okay with the rest of the project. The body itself is going to be 8 of these rows, or like blocks, I guess. And I'm currently on the end of the third one, and I still have some left. I have 4 balls total, and I've done the ribbing already, so I do think that I should have enough for the entire top, and then also like the ribbing on the sleeves and the neck. So that's good. Overall, super happy with it. My only problem is the yarn itself. I do really like it knit up. I think the colors are great. I think the thickness is really good. And I do like the overall feeling of it while it's knitted. However, these strands while I'm knitting feel kind of like soapy to me, or like a bath towel. I don't know if that's because of the silk in it. I've never knit with silk, and this is like a silk cotton blend, or if there's something else with this yarn that it just doesn't really feel nice in my hands. So I think, especially because I don't really like the feeling of the yarn in my hands, that this progress in only 3 days is absolutely amazing. And I'm feeling quite confident at this stage that I'm going to be able to finish within the month. So it is Thursday today, and I haven't really left the house in a couple of days, so I also don't really have a lot of outfits to show you. However, today I am wearing a little handmade vest that I made, so I thought I could show it off. This is a pattern by Beranger France, I think it's pronounced, the yarn company / magazine. I'm not 100% sure what the number of the vest is. It's been about 4 years since I have made this. But if I'm able to find it on Ravelry, I will just add it somewhere here. Yeah, I'm just wearing this with my little black top, and I'm also wearing a skirt. I will probably go on a walk a little bit later, so I'll just add in a little bit of a full body shot, hopefully. That's not the only thing that I wanted to show today, because I have finished the body in only 7 days. I don't know what it is with this pattern, if it's the yarn, the fact that it's on a little bit of a larger needle for me. Usually I work on like a 2.5 or 3, maybe 3.5. So a 4 is a little bit larger than what I'm used to, so maybe that's why. However, this is still going so fast. Like, this is about 27 centimeters just before you add the sleeves to it, and I think it's looking great. I'm super excited about this. As I've already said, I was a little bit unsure about the colors, but now that it's working up, I think it's really my style. I already have a bunch of things that I know I want to wear with it, so I think it's going to be a really nice addition. I've also already bound off for the sleeve section, also at the end of the last row from this purple row. So the next row is going to be yellow again with the addition of the sleeves. So my next step is going to be making the sleeves, and I am not looking forward to that part. I think I'm going to slow down a little bit during that progress. After attaching the sleeves, it was time to start the raglan. I was still very excited about this project, and we also went to see what I think was the highlight of my month, a live recorded session of the opera Die Zauberflöte by Mozart. It was recorded live in the Royal Opera and Ballet of London, which they then sent out to several cinemas throughout Europe. I think it's a really great way to experience opera and ballet without having to travel very far or to pay a very high entry fee. And they've also announced that next year they will be performing the Swan Lake. So I'm really going to be looking forward to that one and make sure that I have tickets. My good fortune did not last all the way throughout this project, however, because almost at the end of the raglan, I realized that I had misread the instructions for the decreases. The pattern asks you to do a double center decrease, meaning you slip 2 stitches together as if to knit them together, whereas I actually did 2 separate slip stitches, so my raglan was leaning to the right on both sides instead of just going towards the middle. So I had to frock back the entire top part until just before I had attached the sleeves and started all over. Okay, hello. It's been a few days since I last filmed, but I have been working pretty hard on my top. The last time I turned on the camera was to show you how poorly the top was fitting because I did the decreases wrong in the raglan and how I had to unravel basically half of my project. But I worked my way back on top and it's now completely finished. I'm very happy with it. I've already finished this a couple days ago, I think about 3 or 4. But at that moment I was pretty busy and I didn't really have time to show you guys. So that's why I'm doing it now. I've already done all of the ends. I've done the blocking and I was able to take it outside yesterday, which was the hottest day of the week. So that might not have been a smart decision. We went to a butterfly garden where there had obviously butterflies, but also a lot of other animals. There were some very friendly ducks. We even saw an iguana that was just walking around. Apparently he was on holiday from a neighboring zoo and they just had him there for a couple weeks, but he was very unafraid of people. He was just doing his own thing. So that was lovely. As I said, it was really warm though. And even though this is a cotton and silk blend, it is a DK weight and it's also double stranded basically because of the color work. So even with the short sleeves, I was really, really sweaty. So that's why I'm not wearing it today. I am pretty happy overall. The length is really good. I think the sleeves are really cute. Taking out the raglan and redoing it was a wise decision because it's just looking so much neater. Both sides are now facing the right direction instead of one going all the way to my neckline and the other one just pointing straight up. It was just a good decision, even though I hated doing it and I felt really bad about not having that progress anymore. I still finished it in record time. I started this project on the 1st of May and I finished it in the end with weaving in on the 21st. So that is a crazy fast amount for me. Normally a project takes me anywhere between a month and a half to 2 months. So something about this, working on the bigger needles, and then also a very addicting colorwork pattern, it just made it such a quick project. So I'm super happy with it. I would probably change the neckline if I were to do it again, or if I were to retry this. The pattern did describe doing some German short rows in the back. I decided not to do that because of the color work, but I do think that they might have been necessary for the actual construction. It doesn't bother me too much, but just sometimes when I'm sitting down, the neckline is opening a little bit on the back, whereas it is kind of going really high in my neck in the front. So that's not ideal. But apart from that, I think it's a really good progress. So I'm super happy with it. And that is the end of Me Made for me. I enjoyed it. I kind of struggled with making pictures and videos on the appropriate times because a lot of things that I do are in the evening. I go to the cinema a lot. I go to theater a lot. So remembering to make pictures and also having the courage to make pictures when other people are there and not bothering other guests was kind of tricky for me. So it's definitely something I need to work on. But it did kind of help me thinking about my hand knits first before I reached for some basics in my closet. So I'm really happy to have tried this, and I will probably do it again next year. So yeah, great. That's all. Have a lovely day, and I hope to see you soon.